You are listening to Iconic Radio on XERS, sponsored by Iconic Cafe, home of the Dog and Suds Root Beer and the Iconic Cupcakes, and Brenda's Home Cooking. Every Thursday night, 9 p.m., Iconic Cafe hits the digital radio airwaves with the best in home interviews and cooking. Be sure to check out Iconic Cafe Mishawaka Facebook page for upcoming and archive shows. Now that's iconic.
Hey, welcome everybody. Bruce Tassel, host of the Iconic Radio. Got Bob Singleton Jr. here. And, of course, Bill McDonald is down here. Brought some great hot chocolate. Always thank you, Bill. And hope everyone's staying warm with the weather. Bob, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good for breaking a record of snow in South Bend, Indiana today.
I know when I went to go by to pick him up, he looked like a snowman out there. The snow was sticking to him, so it's pretty good. As we remember, it's been, 4 weeks. We're back on the series, which is great. Face-to-face marketing, which I really enjoyed. And before we get started, we're archiving these shows. So if you get on YouTube, Iconic Radio, you can pick up the shows and be a part of it. So, Bob, why don't we start up again? Let's go just a little bit of face-to-face marketing, get them back in the subject, and we'll get moving.
All right. Well, as I said, I truly believe that this country was built on small business. I believe that for us to help build this country again, small businesses have got to learn how to market themselves. In the years in the 2000s, it's a whole different marketing concept than it was even in the 90s, in the 80s, and the 70s. Things have changed so drastically that old marketing techniques don't work anymore.
Now, the change is technology, you think, has changed, or
it
people?
It plays a major role.
Okay.
For example, let's just talk about companies that sell manufactured items. Let's use the Elkhart industry, the motor homes, and the industry in itself. They have to have salespeople, okay? And salespeople, one of the biggest problems they have today because of technology is reaching decision makers.
Very good, which you need the decision maker to make the sale.
Right, and since the majority of salespeople in life want to do it halfway, they think sales is an easy job. And so what they do is they turn around and learn a little bit, and they call their presentation spiels. They're going to go in and talk to people lots of times just because they need appointments. They'll try to get to place people. They'll talk to non-decision makers that they get nowhere with. So it's very important that we understand that's just one little facet of today's business. But small business, what I used to tell business people, and I'll start with this almost every time when we start, is if you do not run your business with your consumer eyes, then you're going to fail like 80% of businesses do in the first 2 to 3 years.
Now, you've talked about that before, which is a great point, of having business eyes or consumer eyes. And to me, you made a big difference, especially with the cafe.
Well, it's important to understand that unless Daddy gave you the business or Grandpa or something, you've worked your tail off, you've sweated, you've worked hard to become successful. And it's so important to understand, if you want to make things happen, you got into business to better your personal life. You did the same thing. I've done the same thing. And when you begin to look at things from your personal eyes, you'll make better marketing decisions always. You cannot make them from a business view, because you have so many people that come in and see you. We talked on the way over here. And every salesman wants to see you when you open a business.
Yes.
They're out to make commissions.
Yes.
Okay? And that's just the reality of life. That's their job. But most of them don't train enough to become good enough to today's business people. They don't want to deal with them. I got to run a business.
Right.
Okay? And so when I would go into business, people, I couldn't waste my time. I only had 10 hours a day that I could see people. And so I would sit back and look at the product, whatever the service or product that I had, how can I benefit this particular company I'm getting ready to go see? But I tell business owners, will never know the newest, hottest concept if you don't take a look. But it's learning to see visual things that the average salesperson gets in, and he's going to give you a spiel, and he's going to, make you the best deal. But you got to make a decision today, and things like that. When I'm doing business, I want to build a long-term relationship with people.
And you mentioned that on the last time, which is excellent.
It's so important to understand building relationships is by far better than just making a sale, get as much money out of a sale as you can, and then go somewhere else. Because, see, the business owner loses for what salespeople do incorrectly.
Yes, we were talking about that. Right.
And I don't care if it's a waitress in a restaurant by not doing what she's supposed to do or he's supposed to do. I don't care if it's a salesperson that promised people things that he can't deliver on. And if we're going to build small business in our own backyard right now, we have got to start learning things that are facts. I want to go back to this because it'll always be the same. 100% of every business person I've ever talked to, you ask them what the best advertising in the world is, and what do they tell you?
Well, I think from listening to you, it's word of mouth.
Yeah. There is nothing better, because here's the thing. Word of mouth, if you do a good job and you give people fair deals, think about your own friends and family. Are you not, when you're in dinner or having conversation, don't you say, hey, I was over at such and such place and I needed my car fixed and this place wanted $500 and this guy over here has tons of people, so busy, and he only wanted $300.
Yeah.
What'd you just do? You just told somebody else.
Right. Right.
And I'm going to sidetrack on that particular thing and talk about how important it is. And I'll give you an example that as soon as I tell people, especially business people, they laugh, because then it finally hits them. But when you don't have a lot of money to market, and if you really want people to come, you got to give them some decent deals. That's number one. Good quality service. But what I always did was I did what I call guerrilla marketing. You've probably heard it.
Yeah, I read a book on it. Yeah.
Well, this one is my own, and I've been using it for a long time. There's a little place downtown Mishawaka. It's called the 100 Center.
Yeah.
And the owner asked me to come in and market it for him, and I started marketing. We brought it back enough that he ended up selling it to the next generation. But because he didn't have any money for advertising and marketing stuff, what I did, everybody, I don't care who it is, if I tell you tonight, Bruce, I've got something going on, but Bruce, it's between you, I don't tell anybody.
And then you get my interest.
Yeah, but as soon as I tell you, though, and you go, wow, that's pretty cool, or that's not so cool, or whatever. But here's what happens. Some people, everybody will tell you they won't tell anybody, but you might go tell your wife, and you might go tell your best friend, hey, I was talking about Singleton, and he's talking about they're renovating the 100 Center. Now, this is a fact, okay? This is how well it works, you little small businesses out there. So some people, when I have something I want to be told, there are certain people I know talk to everybody. and so I tell them, now listen, and people feel privileged. I say, do not tell anybody. But we're looking at putting new, unique shops at the 100 Center. We're going to try to get the canal dredge. We're going to try to do it, but don't tell anybody. Within 8 weeks, there was an old newscaster named Luke Choate. You might remember.
Yeah.
Okay, all of a sudden on a Friday night, he shows up at the Rascal, which I was managing.
Okay.
Also, besides doing the marketing for the 100 Center. And he asked for me. And I come up and I go, Luke Choate, nice to meet you. What can I do? Is there something wrong? He goes, no, I've been hearing some great things that you're planning on doing here. And we'd like to do a story on the 100 Center. I mean, so somebody that I was telling don't tell somebody.
Told Luke.
So you talk about one of the easiest ways to market your business is tell people, don't tell anybody.
All right.
Now, I know we're going to go on a break here, and then I'll continue the second part of that, and then we'll go on to something else.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Hey, Phoenix tonight, open jam. Friday, Deadly Devotion, and Saturday, Elwood Splinters at the 5-Star. Friday, Gunner and the Grizzly Boys, and the recent, and at Rocks will be Julia James on Saturday. So We'll be back tonight on Radio Classics. It's yours truly, Johnny Dollar. 2 episodes, Chicago Fraud Matter and the Madison Matter. So that brought to you by the Phoenix Grill. All right, we'll take a quick break. We got some Spencer Davis group coming up. I'm a Man. And give me some lovin', some old school. All right, we're back on the air with Bob Singleton. Where we left off, we were talking about do not tell anybody. And let's go from there.
Yeah, well, I said Luke Choate wanted to do a story, and I said to Luke, I said, man, I am humbled. But see, that's not supposed to be knowledge yet out in the public. Well, when I get ready, I'll contact you. Well, make sure you contact us first. 2 weeks later, to the T on a Friday night, the marketing director of WNDU, because I turned the Rascal around like 400% in 2 months. And so I had it packed in on Friday nights, and so I have this Lou. I forgot what Lou's. I know him, but anyways. So somebody's asking for you out there. So I come up. I was the manager. I thought something was wrong, and it was Lou. And Lou's going, Bob, man, everybody's talking about you're going to be doing this and this. And I said, Lou, where are you hearing that? He said, well, somebody told me I wasn't supposed to tell anybody. I said, wow. So my point being, WNDU was interested in doing a story when we got the One Hair Center up to where it was up and running again. Well, you know the history now. They got the bike pass. They've added on new businesses. Things are going because the proper marketing was laid in a foundational base.
But let me ask you, when you say do not tell, that's a human nature, right? You know about human nature.
But why not use it for marketing?
Well, I know, but most people don't even look at that as human nature, and that's what you're really doing. You understand humans. Right. So it's like Adam and Eve. Don't touch the tree. They're going to touch the tree.
Well, the thing is, see, what we're going to be doing on this radio show is going to help in relationships. It's not just about marketing business. If I want to do something proper for an individual, it's again, word of mouth. They're going to tell somebody, oh, my boyfriend is so nice. He did this, this, and this, and this. What do they always say? I wish I had a boyfriend like that.
Yep, you're right.
But let's go back to this do not tell. As soon as I've said this, all kinds of people that are listening tonight thought of 1 or 2 people that say, well, I would use John or I'd use Judy. Yeah. Because they know they'd tell everybody.
Yep, you're right.
Okay, and so it's cheap, free, guerrilla marketing.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
Right.
No. What it's doing is giving you word of mouth by people that like to talk. Now, the opposite side of that is if you run a business and you're high priced and you're not giving people fair deals and the quality of your service or your food, I love to come down and eat at the Iconic Cafe. Great food, okay? Go down there. They're going to tell people about that.
Yes.
It's critical. This next summer, I think, is going to be a big year for Iconic Cafe because you're thinking outside the box of what every other place that's been in there.
Well, and true, this is on the radio, but you were nice enough when you were in last time and said, I got to work on the restrooms. And, I was embarrassed at first, but then I thought, you're looking at a consumer end. If you go in and use the restroom, right. You want it to work. And you want it to be good.
Because you're my friend, I wanted you to understand that one of the most important places, especially in a restaurant, is the bathroom.
Yep.
When the men go in there, they're not as picky as women, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, women out there, but they also, you go in the bathroom if your toilet seat's broken down and there's stuff all around and around the back and it's not clean, that should be a vibrant area.
Yes.
That's a personal place in a restaurant for somebody, for themselves.
I know, and I honestly appreciate that.
And I do things not because I ever want to hurt people's feelings or anything. Everything is about marketing. If you have a small business, you better understand. Now, I want to pull on this list here because another thing that's important that comes into work that plays off what I'm saying, branding.
Yes.
Branding. You have got, and you're doing a very good job. Iconic Cafe is a name that is catchy and makes them think, what does he mean by Iconic Cafe?
Oh, okay.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, I did it because I work with young adult kids.
Right.
And one of my girlfriends said, it's iconic. These kids are iconic. And if you look at the the Greek, I guess what it means, it's of someone that is high and special, and that's what I think of those kids, and that's what I thought of Iconic Cafe.
And not only that, that's a good part. I'm glad you gave that answer. But you also are bringing nostalgic stuff back because, let's be real, I don't care who you are, even the younger generations, as they get older, they're going to look at iconic stuff from their past.
That's true.
Dog and Suds root beer. Do you know how many people, when I tell them that Bruce Tassel has Dog and Suds root beer, they go, oh, come on. Because guess what? Almost all of us, we had baby mugs.
That's right.
Okay? I mean, and that's all marketing. Those are things that we need to set up in your small businesses that people remember. Okay, who had the big rocking chair in town? But I'm just saying, immediately it comes to mind.
Right, I picture it.
Yeah, Shakey's Pizza.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
There was a place out on Day Road in Mishawaka, and you'd walk in and there was this huge organ, a pipe organ, Tweety Brown's.
That's right. Okay.
Okay, but you don't forget. Now, the last one, and I will tell you, this is critical. I used to go to a restaurant with my oldest son, who is now 32. Wait a minute, I'm only 41. But we would always try to make reservations at a place called Come and Dine on Jefferson. There was one booth in there that was an Amish buggy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the table, it was Amish buggy, lantern lights, and everything. And it would take you anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks to get that table.
Wow.
Now, how many kids were always saying, I want to sit in that buggy? Concepts will help people remember your business too. Branding will help you. If you look at all the big companies and the branding that goes on and has gone on for years, they are always branding. That's where I'm going to segue into how important certain types of advertising are.
What is the difference, though, between branding and concepts, though? Is there a difference?
Well, yeah, concepts are I know that when I go to Bruce's, he has this XYZ sandwich. It's a concept he created.
Gotcha.
Okay? Branding is, come to the Iconic Cafe, where you can see the old Indian motorcycle pictures on the wall, and you got this, and we're serving Dog and Suds root beer. You're branding your product over and over. Look at Campbell's Soup. Can you think of everything about Campbell's Soup? Look at Jell-O. Look at Pepsi. Look at Coke. Burger King competes against who?
Well, I guess in a sense, nobody.
Who do you think?
Well, McDonald's.
Okay, everybody thinks McDonald's, or you say, who does McDonald's? Okay, they've been branding years and years and years. People compare themselves in business to successful businesses.
And that's what category. You need to do.
Exactly. So you got to create branding. You got to get a name. You got to make it so that name is catchy and it stays. And every time, that you go out, you say, "Have you tried Iconic Cafe?" I say this all the time. And they'll go, "No, but I've heard about it lately." Where?
Wow.
Okay, it's word of mouth.
Yes.
I'm not saying that radio advertising is bad because this is a radio station. But you know what's good about this radio station? What's good about this radio station is that Bill bought this radio station a little over a year ago, and he turned it into interesting stuff every night. Something's different that people are coming in on their own nights to watch, to listen to. That means that the advertisers are here. They're not moving. They're not flipping from this radio station. They're waiting to come back and listen to the blues or the Beatles on Sunday, or the Iconic Cafe with talk.
Right.
Of what's going on. So it's important that you understand, small businesses, we can help you grow. So I know we're about at another break.
Yep.
So when we get back, we'll begin to talk about shotgun advertising compared to direct rifle marketing.
All right, shotgun. I like that. Gosh, okay. Well, we got 12 seconds left. A couple of shows that are on, of course, Sunday Beetle Brunch, Monday Michiana Scene, and we'll be back. We got a little Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone. All right, we're back. We'll get with Bob in a second. Always want a big shout out to Adam Nelson, As again, Bob was talking about Iconic. He was the one that designed the menus. And, of course, he is back at home, and he archives these for me with the website and the webpage. Adam does a fantastic job. Get a hold of him on the Facebook, Iconic, for any kind of needs, T-shirts, whatever. The guy's great. And, of course, Eddie Kurlowitz, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, he's going to be playing on a Clocks reunion up in Chicago this Saturday. And so we'll have Eddie back on the air and see how that goes. And, of course, I always want to say hi to Albertina of Martha's Midway. Always a great place to go for Blues Club. So, all right, Bob, we're back. Shotgun advertising.
Yeah, I mean, most people, because they're so busy running their businesses, I want to sidetrack and say, they're not a bunch of Bo Jacksons, Deion Sanders, Michael Jordans. If you want to be an expert in your business, you got to focus on that business.
Correct.
Okay, so people want to focus on building their business, but then they want to be experts at marketing. Marketing being the number one industry in the world, and I've had major people dispute this with me, and I said, tell me a banking institution that doesn't need marketing. Tell me an insurance company. Tell me an attorney, a doctor. They all are need to be marketed.
Well, it's communication.
Well, it is, but it's marketing. If they don't know you're there, how can they buy from you?
Well, that's true.
Okay, so it's marketing. Everything. So marketing is the biggest industry in the world, but everybody wants to think that they can be professionals in the biggest industry in the world and still be professional in their business. And I blame it on mainly the marketing industry, but I also blame it on salespeople. Okay? Because the problem that you have is that the majority of salespeople get out there and they're doing whatever they can to make a commission. And when I used to sell for a phone book locally, I used to go in and they'd say, well, what's my competition doing? And I said, well, they got a full-page ad. Well, I knew that, but I need to compete with them. And I said, well, okay, let's talk about this. Now, you business owners, listen to me out there. And I would ask them, I said, okay, what's your average sale per customer? Oh, I don't want to share. Do you want me to help you with marketing or not? So they'd say, let's just say $20. I said, so the advertisement for a full-page ad is $30,000. And your average sale is $20. So you have to pay for that ad, you have to have a lot of customers spending $20 for you just to break even. And with what you're saying, you can't afford to have a full-page ad. And they go, don't you make commissions? And I said, not if you go out of business.
Oh, true, yeah.
So if I truly help you stay in business, you don't mind if I make a living if I'm truly helping you, do you, small business people?
Right.
And so sometimes I'd go back to a place 5 or 6 times if I felt the product or service I had was truly beneficial. And the other salespeople would laugh at me, but yet I outsold all of them. Because I built relationships, and that's critical. And if you're not going to build relationships in your business, you're not going to make it. So there are different types of advertising. You have what they call direct, I call it rifle advertising.
Oh, okay.
Pinpointed. Or you can do a shotgun effect. And let's just talk about shotgun. That would be TV. That would be a radio. In a lot of cases, that would be doing the flyers.
Right. Okay. So a wide spectrum.
Right. That's
okay.
It's like shooting a shotgun.
Gotcha.
Hoping that you get just a little bit out of all these people to see. Now, let's just talk about. You remember this little iconic paper called the Penny Saver?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So when you would get the Penny Saver, how much of the time would you throw it in the trash?
Well, I'd read it.
Well, I know, but the majority of the people, well, how many of them would you see them laying? There'd be 12 of them in their little box on the side.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Okay, because what I'm saying is people, you got to affect people more on a one-on-one. Somebody told me about this great deal. But you have to have a certain amount of shotgun, and I call that image advertising.
Okay, that's a new word now.
Yeah,
image
advertising, and that plays part in shotgun, but it also plays part in direct marketing. Because image advertising, you have to spend a certain amount of dollars just to keep your branded image out there.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and the more that you can do it effectively without spending big dollars, the sooner the dollars start coming in, for you to take a little bit more percentage and do what? Here's the key. Now we're going to get into some real meat. You know, I had a concept that made a lot of people a lot of money. In fact, every card company in the country was designed from a card I created, and I can prove that. We'll talk about it someday. But I had a little place called Bob Evans.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the first year, my concept, the salespeople couldn't get them. I wanted them. I went and talked to the general manager of both of them in Elkhart and South Bend, Mishawaka, and I convinced the guy. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will, for $400, you pay for it. If we don't see the results, I'll give you your money back at the end of the year. Okay, because it's a new concept, and you said you didn't want to make my business. I said, if I'm going to prove to you, word of mouth will work. So he said, well, I'll give 5%. I said, no, I don't want your business. I said, if you can't give 10% off of a full table, whether it's 1 or 10, I don't want your business. How insulting is it when you bring in your whole group to your restaurant? I could go to 25 of them, but you're only going to give me the 10%. So I convinced them to try it for a year. I said, how many customers do I need for you to break even at $400? He said, 9 a week. He just threw something. It's okay, 9 a week. You track. I'll show you how to track it. Get it done. So at the end of the first year, my sales rep went back in. He goes, I can't do that anymore. He said, in the month of January, we gave away $2,000.
Wow.
At 10%. My sales rep come back with his head down and said he gave away too much last year. I said, John, think about it. He gave 10% away, and in 1 month he gave $2,000 in discounts from his tracking. That means he knows, no other source of advertising, he knows that my card brought in $20,000 worth of business for him.
Wow, because 10% of 20,000 is 2,000.
So I went back and talked to the guy. And I said, you know what? You got 2 locations. The first year I put you in for $399. Now it's $800. Oh, no. I said, all right, get out of it. Guess what he did? He went and wrote me a check for $800. So my point being is, as you begin to see those profits, give those profits back to customers. Don't keep putting more in advertising because you think that's the answer. You still need a certain amount of advertising and then mixed venues, but you understand that the majority of your business will come from word of mouth. It all boils down to coming back to a full circle. And the more that you grow Iconic Cafe, the more you want to run special promotions that are above and beyond your normal promotions. So people go, well, on Thursday they do this now. You ever waited for special nights to go to certain places to eat or to go to a movie or what, because they have special deals?
Yeah, I know, and you don't see that much anymore.
That's because the economy has been in the tank for so long that people cut in all the wrong places because people are still going to be spending money.
Good point.
And let me go to the, I'm going to tell you about a major person. People are all over the world listening in on what's talking, but this will benefit them. But when I talk about businesses, a lot of people are from our local market, and they'll know this guy's name. And when we get back, I want to talk to you about a story I had when I was presenting to a guy named Jim Basney. You know Jim?
Yes.
Okay. And when we get back from the next break, I want to tell you about a story about Jim Basney.
You know, and also, too, I want to get back to image advertising, too.
We will on that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hey, we got 30 seconds left. Again, a couple more shows. We got Maximus and the Bartender on Tuesdays, Wednesday through the Deep Tracks, and, of course, Life is Art, Iconic Radio on Thursday and Friday nights, the Cheap Seats, and, of course, the Funk and Groove Show, which is, Saturday night. So, all right, we got Spanish Harlem coming up by Ben E. King, and Iconic Radio will be back. All right, we're back on Iconic Radio. About 3/4 through the show. It's been great with Bob. Just a few things, though. Thursday night at the Phoenix, they have Open Jam. Friday, Deadly Devotion. And Saturday, it'll be a great show, Elwood Splinters Blues Band. 5-Star Dive Bar, of course, Jason. Friday night will be Gunner and the Grizzly Bears, and the Recent will be on Saturday night. And, of course, Rock Sports Cafe will have Julia Jones on Saturday. And, of course, Bill, for tonight, we'll have the Radio Classics at 11 p.m. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, Chicago Fraud Matter, and the Madison Matter. So then this is brought to you by the Phoenix Grill. And, of course, mentioned Albertina, Martha's Midway. Next week we're going to have the Lions Club from Osceola on. It'll be a great show. And, of course, want to mention Iconic, too. We are having the Lions Club. We do their meetings now. We close down the cafe. They come in, get a home-cooked meal from Brenda. Last week was Swiss steak. And next month they're going to have turkey for Thanksgiving. But if there's any groups or organizations want to come in, like I said, call the Iconic or call Brenda or myself. We can set up a homemade meal, and you got the whole restaurant to yourself. So, all right, Bob, back to you now. What we were talking about is special promotions, full circle.
Yeah, well, I wanted to tell you the story about Jim Basney.
Correct.
Okay, Jim has been around for years. His family had the car dealerships all over for years. And I went in, I knew Jim through business. And I went in to talk to him about a promotion I was doing. And Jim's words were this to me. Bob, you just got to understand, the whole car industry is down 40% from what it was for the last 5 years. And so all of a sudden I'm in my suit and tie, which I haven't worn one for a long time. But, I was in my suit and tie. I was training a sales rep. And he was sitting there. I said, don't open your mouth. Just watch. So, because I don't want them to try to lead me, they don't know where I'm going. So Jim said the whole car industry was down 40%, and all of a sudden I grabbed my chest, and I went, and I fell off the chair. And both of them stood up, and Jim Basney was looking at me down on the floor, and my buddy, the new guy, was looking at me, and I got up, dusted myself off, and I sit back down on the chair. And I said, Jim, is that what you're going to do? You're going to lay down and die? I said, isn't that what your competition should be telling me? You're telling me you're a leader. So if you have 60% of the market you're all going after instead of 100%, wouldn't that mean that you need to be out in front of them more than your competition is? And he goes, Bob, I never even thought about that.
Wow.
Okay, you got to separate yourselves, whether it's in business or full circle here, or in a personal relationship. From your position sitting in that chair right now, Bruce, if you look across this room, you're going to have a whole different perspective than if I look at the room from where I'm sitting. Okay?
But is that an art to be able to do that? How do you teach someone?
It's a process. It's repetition. But my point being here is, in a personal relationship, you've got to separate yourself from your being in the middle of a relationship and look at it from the outside looking in. If you don't learn how to do it, relationships fail in personal and in business all the time. And so it's time for business people to understand, when you're making the decisions, when it comes to marketing your business, you got to get out of the middle of where you're at. You have got to stand out and look at it and looking in. If I walked into Iconic Cafe, what would I like and what would I not like? Now, I'll tell you another thing. Just get sideways a little bit on the Iconic Cafe, and I'll tell you things that's funny. One of my closest friends from high school's dad owned a major truck stop little restaurant in Mishawaka for years when we were in high school and beyond, called a little place called Bill's Grill.
Yeah, Bill's Grill was great.
A number of people that you come into your place, all right, that's where they hung out.
Right. Well, my partner, too, she worked there.
Bill never did any advertising. Ever. It was all word of mouth. Okay? And they become millionaires on a little truck stop on US 20 going down the road that long ago. And so when I walk into here and I bring new people in, you know what they say to me immediately? This reminds me of the old Bill's Grill.
Wow, that's a compliment.
Yeah, and when they eat your cheeseburgers, they go, this is like the old Big B burger.
That's right, the Big B burger.
So it's a compliment. You are doing a concept. You are creating memory. People like good memory. And so that alone brings people back to your business. You know, I go to a little hardware store instead of going to these big chain stores that's down here in Mishawaka to get my parts, because the owner will come out and go, Bob, what do you need?
Yes, and that's the magic words, isn't it? Saying your name.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. If they don't know you, they'll go, I hope I can help you today.
Right.
Okay? And so understanding marketing from a whole new concept will change the way you run your business. Let me give you one more example of what consumers hate. Okay? There used to be like Highland, the appliance place, and there was all these places. And there's two types of salespeople. There's the professional, there's the guy that just wants commissions. So I'm going to give you these two concepts and ask everybody out there, which one would you pick? The first one is, you know you're going to buy a big screen TV at Highland. You walk in, as soon as you walk in the door, 3 guys jump on you, and they say, so what can I put you into today? I got this, and this, and let me take you over here. And what do you say?
I'm not interested.
No, you say, I'm just looking.
Right.
Even though you know you're in there to buy a TV because they turn you off. Now, let's talk about a professional salesperson. They see you walk in the door, they walk up to you, and they go, look, I don't want to hawk you walking in the door. I just want to let you know, if you do have any questions about any of the items you would have an interest in, here's my card, and I'll be over there. Now, which one would you pick to do business with?
Well, the second one, of course.
But that's not what the majority of salespeople do. They do like the first one.
So where are they learning that from? I mean,
it's notorious. They've been taught this in the marketing field for years and years and years, and yet they wouldn't want to be treated like that. They not separating themselves from looking in from the outside. So they think, well, everybody else does it this way, so I'll do it. You need to stand out. You need to stand above. You need to take notes. When you get done with an appointment, if you're a salesperson for a small business, medium business, or large business, you need to get in your vehicle and you need to take notes. Okay, well, I know Bruce used to like to bowl.
Yeah.
I know Bruce's family has been in the restaurant business for 40 years. I know da-da-da-da-da. And the next time you go in, say, so how's Dad's and Mom's business going?
Yeah.
Okay, you go, wow, he didn't jump on me to sell something.
But I've known you, and you've always been sincere with it. You know, it's not like you just did it just to say it to me. You know, you've always been sincere on what you talk about.
Have to be.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
But the majority of people have been trained to just get in, get out. And I'll give you one other example. I even went, they consider me a professional marketing person. I had jobs, and every time I left a marketing job, they begged me. I mean, I can verify anything that I would put on the air or in person, because I have plenty of people that will tell you. But I work for the low. You have about 4 personality types, maybe 5 in business. Okay, when you get in door-to-door sales, you got about 100 different personality types.
Really?
And I wanted to get more experience, so I went to door for 2 years selling cable. And let me tell you, you want to talk about a hard sell because so many people dislike the cable companies? I had people pull guns on me. I had people believe me, I had people threaten me because they hated the cable company. And so I turned them around. I had the highest pay-to-basic rate in the country in the May, which was National Cable Month, in the country. And the sales reps around me would laugh, but I passed them all. So we'll talk about that and tell you why and why I'm bringing this up when we get back.
I know, geez, working door to door. I mean, I've never done that, but I bet it was interesting on it. So, all right, we'll get back to Bob. We got the Buckinghams coming up. Lawdy, Miss Claudie. This is Iconic Radio. Be back at you. All right, we're back on. We're going to go a little bit longer with Bob, but before we do, Bill gave me a look. He's still selling the new XCR's T-shirts. He's got gray and black. Get on his Facebook or XCRS. They're $10 a piece. And on the back, they have all the shows going on. So it's XCRS. So, all right, Bob, we're back. We were talking door-to-door.
Right. And this will all finalize in the last 10 minutes here of what we're doing tonight. But door-to-door sales gave me an experience that you can't even comprehend. Like I said, there's 4 to 5 average personalities in business.
Yes. You
go out into home door-to-door, and you're going to talk about 100 different personalities.
Because they're at home, they got their guard down.
They're not They're not wired to be business people.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay,
Gotcha.
they are,
Yeah.
and so you're going to step into the privacy of their homes, and you're going to try to sell them something, and the defenses go up so much you would not believe. Well, I happened to sell for our local cable company way back then, and the issue you had, it was the only cable company in town, so they pretty much dictated, and if they had problems, they'd tell the customer, oh, well. So I hated them, so I couldn't beat them on the inside. On the outside, so I decided I was going to get a job, experience door-to-door, and try to make changes in the cable business. Okay? So I would go out there, and I would have people threaten me. I had a guy over in South Bend pull a gun on me. I had people say they were going to take me out the door by the back of my collar. And I'd say, you know what? I got involved with the cable company because I couldn't stand what they were doing to my parents, the people around me, myself, and I couldn't beat them on the outside, so I got on the inside. So now you have an advocate for them. But if you want to throw me out, that's okay. But let me just ask you a couple questions before I leave. And back then, you got to remember, there were only 15 channels on the cable.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And so I would say to them, I'd say, you know, just because you're angry with the cable company, let me just tell you what. You're having 3 stations dictate to you what you watch on TV. And I can go down the street, and there's going to be somebody else that'll buy what I have to offer. But I see you got 2 little kids here. And so let me ask you, how much are you worth? I don't want to know how much you make. How much are you worth? Way back then, what do you think people said?
I don't think they'd know.
Yeah, most people say, well, I'm worth at least $15 an hour. That was the average.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And I said, okay, $15 an hour. But before I'd ask them that, I'd say, so how much TV do you watch in a week? And everybody lies. Buyers are liars. Always remember that.
Buyers are liars.
And so I said, so how much TV do you watch? And they go, I only watch an hour a day. I said, really, an hour a day? It's only 7 hours a week? Okay? And I said, so in that 7 hours, and you told me you're worth $15 an hour, that means you watch $105 worth of TV a week. Now they know, they're starting to go, oh my God. I said, and you have 3 stations dictating to you. You have no choice. Is your time valuable? I said, for 50 cents a day, I can give you 15 to 20 channels that you have some selection when you have that hour to watch TV. I said, you have 2 kids. Is there ever any time that you feel like just getting away, you and your wife, and I'm not just talking physically, just get away, talk, and whatever, and you don't know what to do with the kids, you don't want to send them to a babysitter. Wouldn't it be nice to have those 15 or 20 stations that 4 of them have kid stuff on? That for an hour they could be watching TV and you could be doing all the other stuff? Is that worth anything to you? And I'm getting to the point why I was the #1 salesman in the country for pay-to-basic, like the HBO's, Showtimes, in the country in the National Cable Month for retention of keeping their services. And so we're sitting in a sales meeting, and there's 15 of us. That's how many sales reps were out on the street. And they're saying, well, how can you be? You got started 3 months later than us, and you're ahead of all of us except one of us. How much time do you spend in people's houses? I said, an hour, average. And they started laughing at me. I said, you can laugh all day, but you're not looking at it as a consumer. I said, because they didn't see a cable salesman coming in just to sell them cable and walk out. And we proved that my retention rate is higher than anybody else in the country right now. I said, so laugh all day, but I'm laughing as I take my check to the bank. So, if you're going to be in the business of any kind of business, especially right now we're talking about door-to-door product sales or service sales, okay, you business owners got to understand that you've got to train your salespeople to relate to the people at their level and not at your level. Because I can tell you all day long about the knowledge and the technical aspects of what we do, but if I can't relate it to something that creates value for you as an end user, I lose.
And that's the key, is create value.
And true value. True. Not made-up value.
Okay, so explain that.
Well, you get these TV stations, they come in and they go, our Arbitron ratings in the local market says we have 62%. And how many people are watching TV today? And how many people are not even getting commercials because they got HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and the other things? How many other places with 150 TV stations today, the chances of them finding a 30-second or 15-second spot that you have, especially with TiVo and all these other things, here they are, they're selling you on all their studies of how much of the market they get. 62% of what? Of what? Of the 3 people that were watching last night? Wow, 2 of the 3 were watching. So it comes back again, word of mouth. What's going to get people to come to your business? What is going to put them into your store, your restaurant, or whatever? It comes down to giving people reasonable prices, quality products, and quality service. Let me state that it's not the old days anymore. Customers aren't always right. Don't let that myth go into continuing marketing. Customers aren't always right.
So that's a big factor now.
Right. Today, you'll do what you need to do to take care of customers, but you know what? The ones that are going to take advantage of you as a business and everything else, they're bad for your business anyways, especially in the restaurant business. They'll come and complain every other time or every time they got something to complain about. You go, all right, I'll give you free this or I'll give you free that. Or, no, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take care of your food today, but please do me a favor, don't come back. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, you want to build quality customers as well as they want a quality business. And if you don't have enough respect for yourself as a business to stay strong. And the last thing I'm going to say is businesses fail. These 80% that fail in that first 2 to 3 years, they don't get into business to fail. They don't say, well, I got a worthless product, but I'm going to still try to sell it. Do they?
No.
No, you don't try to serve bad food just hoping that you get put out of business. So what they don't understand is their cost. And that's marketing. If you do not know what your costs are, you might get a great influx like the guy that owned a slot car racing place over in South Bend, Indiana. And he said to me, Bob, I got these commercials and I only paid $65 for 30-second commercials. I said, how many of them did you have to buy? Well, I had to buy 100 of them, and they ran for 30 days. I said, really? It's amazing to me. So you spent $3,500. Yeah, but I can't believe the amount of business that it brought me. I said, really? So you kept track of how many numbers? When he broke it down, he ended up losing money because he didn't know how that $3,500, he was not generating that money to break even with the ads that he was running.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's important that people understand as they listen to this show that they understand that we are going to teach them down-to-earth guerrilla marketing concepts that reach the masses of people. So thanks for having me on tonight.
Well, I appreciate it. Hate to cut you off, but we'll have you on 1 month from now.
All right,
we'll get it back.
Yeah, that's fine.
And, of course, these are all archived on YouTube. In fact, I'm going to go home and listen to this one. I've taken about 3 pages of notes, and I really appreciate it, Bobber. You do some fantastic stuff here.
Hey, my friend. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Well, I know, Bill, look, just again, Phoenix, Open Jam tonight, Deadly Devotion Friday, Elwood Splinters on Saturday, 5-Star Dive Bar, Gunner and the Grizzly Boys Friday, and the Recent on Saturday, and Rock's Julia James on Saturday night. This is Iconic Radio.